Welcome back to Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Robert Burwell. I'm also the president of Washington 3%. Today we're going to be talking about the latest test scores for our education system in Washington State and what our state superintendent, Mr. Reichdel, wants to do about it. So first off, I just want to start off with last video. I didn't explain this. I didn't explain where I am or what's going on. I'm currently on vacation. This is how I enjoy spending my vacation, is making videos to hopefully educate people on what's going on in our state so they can be informed voters and try to help fix our state. Knowledgeable voter is a good voter. Unfortunately, we don't have that in Washington. We have a lot of people voting who have no clue what's really going on. They just vote by party, and they vote by what their TV tells them, and you can see the disaster that has led to in our state. Now, like I said, I'm on vacation. This is my travel trailer. I'm currently down in Kanab, Utah. I'm on the Utah-Arizona border. I'm going to be out here for a few more weeks, down around this area. We're going to be going around, having a good time. I got my 2 dogs in here. I'm in an RV park in my trailer, so you're going to hear some noises. My last video, you could hear my dog breathing. We had a helicopter fly over. What can you do, right? You know, I'm trying to make the best situation I'm in and try to still put out videos to you guys. So it is what it is, but hopefully we won't have too many more interruptions like that. But with that being said, let's get on with what we're here to talk about. And so here we go. So our state superintendent of education, Mr. Reichdel, just announced that our latest test scores for Washington State are in. And according to him, we have improved in English, literacy, science, and math. Yay, Washington. Superintendent Reichdel hails this as a great accomplishment. You know, our scores are coming up, and it's a great accomplishment. We're doing awesome. Go Washington, right? We're getting back on track, according to him. So the sad reality is we're not. The reality is we're just now getting back up to the pre-pandemic levels on our test scores. Okay. And if you've been tracking these over the years, the pre-pandemic test scores were pretty pathetic compared to the rest of the world. The United States as a whole, pathetic compared to the rest of the world. Washington was no exception. We are way behind other industrialized nations, and also other nations that aren't even as industrialized as we are kicking our butts on test scores of our students. Washington, not just Washington, but the United States education system is failing, and there's a lot of reasons for this. But right now, Mr. Reichdel, this is not a great accomplishment. This is, well, we're making some progress, but we still got a lot of work to do, is what it should be. Not some great accomplishment that we're doing great. Washington's awesome, because it's not. It's not good. Pre-pandemic levels, it's not good. So, to give you an example, even Reichdel admits this, that we are not doing well in math. Okay? And it's been that way for a long time in the United States. It's been that way since they came out with Common Core. Common Core has just destroyed our education system. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But according to the latest test results, which they test children from kindergarten to 3rd grade, and they also test 8th graders. And According to Mr. Reichel, only 63.3% of students in Washington State demonstrated foundational knowledge in math. Foundational knowledge in math is your basics, your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. A little over half of the students who tested in Washington State can do basic math. We're talking like, what, third, fourth grade level math? Only 63.3% of students demonstrate foundational knowledge in basic math. Just the basics on how to do it. How to add things, how to subtract things, how to multiply, how to divide. A little over half. That's a failure. That's an abysmal failure. Nearly half your students can't do basic math they should be able to do in their head, let alone on a piece of paper, right? That's terrible. And the sad truth is that Washington State is actually not that bad for America. We're ranked 15th nationally. There are only 14 states that are outperforming our pathetic 63.3%, which is really bad for the entire education system in America. And again, this goes back to Common Core. Common Core is a joke. We're failing. And there's a lot of other problems too, but Common Core is a big one. That's when our test scores really started to drop, when they switched over to this Common Core ridiculousness. But have no fear, Mr. Reichel has a plan. He has a grand plan that's going to save us. It's going to save us on our math scores, because that's what he wants to concentrate on, the worst of it, which is our math scores. You want to know what his big plan is? It's really awesome. So according to Mr. Reichel, he has requested an additional $10 million from our already huge budget deficit of billions of dollars in Washington State. He wants another $10 million. And you know what he wants to use it for? He wants to use it to pay for professional development to enhance math teaching skills. I'm going to say it again. Professional development to enhance math teaching skills. In other words, he wants to take our math teachers, who now, these are individuals who went through our entire education system. Then they went to college for a minimum of 4 years to become a teacher. Okay? They pass their certification to be a teacher. They supposedly are educated. They have a degree. And then these teachers, when they get a job, they get a job in the field in which they were supposedly best at, right? If you're a math teacher, that was supposedly your best field, right? You're supposed to be at least decent in math. You're supposed to be pretty good at math if that's what you want to teach. You have to like the subject to teach it. So these people who have gone through our entire education system up to 4 years of college, chose this as a profession, are a math teacher because they're supposed to be good at it. He feels they need to go back to school to learn how to teach math. That's like taking somebody who's an airline pilot. Become an airline pilot. You have to go through school. You have to take flight training. You have to go through multiple certifications. You have to take certifications for multi-engine. You have to go through a whole long process, years of training to be an airline pilot. And then saying, you know what? Let's send the pilot back to school to learn how to fly. If he has to learn how to fly after going through all that training, and after doing it for some of these teachers, 20, 30 years already, has to go back to school to learn how to do it. He probably shouldn't be doing it. Probably shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. And neither should these teachers if they need to be retrained on how to do their job after all the training they've already had and their years of experience. If they don't know how to teach the subject they're supposed to teach, instead of spending $10 million to retrain them, how about we shit can their ass and get some teachers who actually can do the job that they've been trained for and are being paid for. Not spend a bunch of money to retrain them on how to do the job they've already been being paid to do, that they're supposedly trained to do. This is like everything else as far as Democrats are concerned. You know, if there's a problem, throw money at it. That's the big solution. Throw money at it. Let's not fix the problem. How about you look at why children are failing? Why are children failing, especially math? Well, number one, Common Core. Common Core is stupidity. I have limited experience with it, but with little bit of experience I had with it, I was shocked. I understand now why children are failing from Common Core. My example, my granddaughter had math problems she needed help with. I think she was like 6th grade or something like that. I can't remember. It was a while ago. I'm really good at math. I had to do math daily for a living. I did trigonometry daily, you know, so I know math. I'm not illiterate when it comes to math. I open her book. Say, what do you need help with? You know, and Grandpa's here. He's going to help you. You know, I'm good at math. I open up her book. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? And I read it, and I'm like, it's got all these problems on the page, and they're like, you know, multiplication problems, you know, like 135 times 72, you know, stuff like that, right? Kind of, you know, sort of hard multiplication, but stuff somebody her age should easily be able to do. But I read the instructions, and it says, estimate the answer. Estimate the answer. So I asked her, I said, what's this? What do they mean estimate it? She said, oh, no, that's what we do. We're supposed to estimate it. And I'm like, exactly what in the hell are you going to learn from estimating the answer? 137 times 26. Oh, I think that's about 1,500. Good job. You made a guess. What's that teaching? That's not teaching you how to do math. Estimate. And it was like almost 3 pages of problems. It was over 100 problems, and they had to estimate an answer for each one. They weren't actually doing math. They were just looking at it and guessing. When in your life are you going to do that? If you have to use math, you need to actually have the real answer. You can't just estimate it. Can you imagine the kind of buildings we had if engineers didn't do math and just estimated? You think we'd have any airplanes flying if we just estimated it instead of doing math? That's sheer stupidity. But that's the shit we're teaching them, and then we wonder why they can't do math, because they're just estimating, because they taught them to estimate. What the hell? It's insane. It's totally insane. So that's one thing that we could do to fix the system. Get rid of Common Core and go back to actually teaching kids math, right? While we're at it, how about we teach kids what they need to know to be successful adults? How about we start there, right? Concentrate on the stuff that matters when you're an adult. Knowing how to read, knowing how to write, knowing how to do math, okay? And don't give me this crap. It's like, oh, I took all this math in school and I never had to use it again in my life. Yeah, you do. If you don't know how to use math, you can't balance your checkbook. You can't understand the frickin' the interest that they're charging you. You can't understand the mortgage stuff you have to do. You can't understand none of that stuff that has to do with being a real adult. If you don't know how to do math, you can't do it. And you're just going to be bouncing through life being taken advantage of because you don't know how to do math. Why we got so much credit card debt in this country? Because people don't understand compounding interest. And you know what that is? That's math. If you don't know how to do it, that's why you got these credit cards you can never pay off. We need to teach them real math. Okay? We need to teach them real subjects they need to survive. Right now, we got teachers, and we got school system, number one. They want to teach a bunch of garbage. They want to push, all this gender stupidity on kindergartners. It's like, number one, they're not old enough to even grasp the concept, right? They're kids, okay? Their life revolves around, playing, learning easy stuff, having a good time. Let them be kids, right? They know there's boys and there's girls. That's what they know. You push all this gender bullshit on them, you're just gonna confuse them. They're not mature enough to understand those type of concepts at that age. Anybody with any kind of a real psychological background will tell you that. But we got all these activist idiots out there that pushing this crap on kindergartners. They need to be kids, right? When they become an adult, they can explore that kind of crap. But right now, little kids don't need to learn that. They need to learn stuff. They need to survive, right? More things little kids don't need to know at school. They don't need to know what their teacher's sexual preference is. Okay? When I was going to school, we didn't even know if our damn teachers were married or not. They never talked about their personal life. They were there to teach the subject that they were teaching. They didn't talk to us about their personal life. They didn't talk to us about their sexual preference. Okay? They didn't talk to us about their thoughts on politics or social issues. They taught the subject they were there to teach. If you're a teacher, you're hired to teach a subject. You're not there to try to teach our kids your opinion. The only people who should give our kids our opinion is us. Your opinion don't matter to my kids. You shouldn't be commenting on social or political issues in the classroom to kids. That's not your job. Your job is to teach a subject. Your job is not to talk to them about your gender dysphoria, your political stance on things, your ideas on communism and Marxism. Your job is to teach math or English or science or real history. How about we teach our kids real history instead of this alternative history crap you're teaching now? Teach them things like why this country was founded, how it was founded, what their actual rights are, because we've got so many people running around quoting rights right now that have no concept what the rights actually are and what the limitations of said rights are. How about we teach them that kind of stuff? Stuff they need to know when they're adult. Okay? That's one of the big reasons why our education system is failing. Get back to doing what teachers are supposed to do. Teach the subject they're hired to teach. Keep your personal bullshit out of the classroom. Your opinions, your sexuality. That doesn't have any place in the classroom. Period. It's not all teachers' faults. It's also the fault of parents. The vast majority of parents in this country, and in this state, but in this country, period, have no concept what their kids are doing in school. They don't go to parent-teacher conferences. They don't get involved in their child's education. They don't make sure they're doing their homework. When their child acts up, instead of, putting little Johnny to task and making him straighten up and do what he's supposed to do at school, they run down there and want to defend him. They want to be their friend more than they want to be their parent. They need to start being their parent. They need to take an active role in their education. They need to go to the parent-teacher conferences. They need to make sure their child's doing their homework. And if their child's acting up in school, the parent needs to deal with it. It's not the school's place to raise your kid. They're there to teach them things. They're not there to raise your kid. If your kid has problems in school, acting like an idiot, acting like a little jerk, then you as a parent need to deal with that. It's not the school's problem to deal with. So this is not all on schools for failure, but a big part of it is because of this Common Core and all this other garbage. We fix our education system by teachers sticking to the topics they're supposed to teach, teachers actually being competent at their job, holding students accountable. Okay, the schools need to hold students accountable. When the students are acting out, they need to be able to. Right now, they're restrained by law. They need to be able to contact the parents and tell them, you straighten your kid out or he's out of the school, you find someplace else to send him, like they used to do back when I was growing up. This No Child Left Behind is bullshit. If the parents don't want to make their kid act like a civilized human being in school, then it should be the parents' problem to try to teach them. It's not the school's job to raise your child. It's not the school's job to discipline your child. That's your job. And if you abdicate your position as a person who teaches your child right from wrong, then it's not the school's problem. They should dump them back on you and you deal with it. You figure out how you're going to educate them. Parents need to take responsibility for their children, for their education and for their behavior. That's another big part of why our schools are failing. But that's how we fix the system. We get rid of Common Core. We hold teachers accountable. We hold them to teaching the subject and not their personal crap. And we make parents get involved in their child's schooling. And that's all I have to say on that subject. But, Mr. Reichdahl, this is not an accomplishment. It's an abject failure, and you need to fix it by actually making real changes, not throw money at the problem. So, once again, I'm going to go ahead and remind you of who we are and our website. My organization is Washington 3%. And if you want to know about us, if you want to know what we stand for, what we believe in, what our bylaws are, what we hold our members to, what we believe in, then you can go to our website, which is www.wa3%.org. That is WA3%.org. Also, while you're in there, you can check out our 501c4 nonprofit charity called Boots on the Home Ground. There'll be a link there you can click on to find out about that. We are a our Boots on the Home Ground is our organization. This is our charitable arm, and we help veterans, and we help our communities in Washington State when they're in need, like when there's a fire or a flood or a water system goes down or whatever. We provide what relief we can with the money we have. Our Boots on the Home Ground is all volunteers. There are no paid members. Nobody gets a dime of any of the money. Any money we have, any money that's donated to us goes directly to help those in need. We're all volunteers. So there's a spot if you go on our website where you can donate. You can set up a donation, one-time donation or a monthly donation to go out. It 100% goes to helping people, not lining our pockets. No one's paid. I'm not paid. My guy who does all the paperwork with the state, he's not paid. All volunteers who do it for free, just so we can try to help people. So, check us out. Check out our charity. If you can help, great. If not, thanks for looking. With that, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'll talk to you again next time on Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. Thank you. Good night.